gives you a ticket to Heidelberg should you finish in the top 2. But enough of words, let's jump straight into game number 2. Boss champ. There we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to game number 2 of your series between MarineLorD and DeMusliM. Spawning in over on the south side of the map, playing as the Holy Roman Empire in the color blue, representing Izzy Esports, we've got MarineLorD.
And on the other side of the map, spawning on the right side, DeMusliM is going to be playing as the red Chinese representing Team Liquid out there. And what is he doing with his own deer, actually? He seems like he's pushing it away, but looks like he just turned around with the scout, bringing in the sheep. Also, Salami for us, he was pointing out that the starting statue right next to or inside MarineLorD's town center actually is just the standard bell. So we talked about that scholarly figure in the town center of DeMusliM. Now we take a look at MarineLorD's TC, and that is the standard bell. I think that's the most default thing that you can get in the game. Obviously, it's not a big factor, right? But he doesn't like to just add the cosmetics on his stuff, it seems.
MarineLorD is the Faker of Age of Empires 4. For anybody who doesn't know Faker, Faker is a League of Legends, I guess you'd almost say legend. He is a Titan, and he's notorious in that he never used cosmetics. He only ever uses the default things. So we can see that MarineLorD is similar in that regard. But let's talk a little bit about this matchup. This is an interesting matchup. So this map is Altai. China's quite a good civilization here, but they do get countered very heavily by the Holy Roman Empire. This is a very difficult matchup for China because the HRE have got, well, they've just got China's number when it pretty much comes to everything. They just do everything slightly faster. They're able to get up to the castle age. They're able to get those knights out a little bit faster, grab those relics before China can really do what it wants to do. So I'm looking forward to seeing how DeMusliM plays this and whether we might potentially see a bit of a barbecue rush today.
It's definitely a possibility out there because, as you pointed out, you get the feel that the HRE has a pretty good matchup against the Chinese over here. Obviously, Chinese late game is extremely powerful, but the HRE's real power is its timings. HRE has really fast timings. They can reach Castle Age really fast, they can reach Imperial very fast, they can build up their eco using the Pass of Schwabia quite rapidly, capitalize on the relic control with the Ragnitz Cathedral really fast, and their timing pushes are extremely devastating because of this one, and that's something that the Chinese player has to consider. A Chinese player can't just sit back behind Voz over here, hoping that this game goes into post-Imperial, so we're going to see, you know, the fancy bombards of the Chinese, the Ming Dynasty Grenadiers. The Chinese player has to be a lot more active when it comes to aggression, when it comes to challenging map control, simply because you can't let an HRE player stay untouched because their timings will be a lot better as your timings will be in this early to intermediate part of the game.
Yeah, that's exactly it. There are a couple of windows that you do have as the Chinese, but they're they've got big caveats to them. And now we can see MarineLorD coming in being very cheeky here. He knows that DeMusliM might have been thinking about doing a bit of a deer push, and as a result now comes in and actually looks to take out the deer himself. Now, DeMusliM going to be going for that Imperial Academy. I'm going to do an assessment here. Let's take a look and see exactly how well he's placed it. Now, DeMuslim's actually one of the better places of Imperial Academies. We've actually got 2 landmarks that we're going to be raiding here today. So Imperial Academy coming up first. This Imperial Academy, I'm going to go with, considering the circumstances here, you'd have to say it's basically pixel perfect. I don't think you could get better than that. But unfortunately, it misses the gold and the stone on the back. But that's just a consequence of the spawn, isn't it?
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? With this map spawn, this is the best Imperial Academy that you can get for yourself. And the thing I love about this one is that you're also going to have the deer close to that mill, as well as the berries, of course.
Yeah.
That is actually very, very long-term center of your food eco. It's not like, you know, just you place the mill, you have the sheep over it, you even have the berries, but then it gets depleted. Because you have the hunt close to it as well, you will be depositing a lot more resources to it over time. Obviously, hunt is not super effective when it comes to conversion to tax gold income, but it's still something, right? So it's gonna be nice little extra over here. And it looks like MarineLorD, he's aggroing the boar over here, trying to get some help from Mother Nature against those enemy scouts out there. But let's take a look at MarineLorD's base, because he's going to drop an Aachen Chapel very soon. And as you pointed out, there are 2 landmarks to raid today here as we go towards Feudal Age. In fact, the Aachen Chapel is already complete. Very nice spot for him as well, having the lumberjacks, the town center, the gold miners, and even the hunt included.
Yeah, this is a really decent spot. He's going to be super happy with this. One of the things that we have seen players do, like Wham and Puppy Paw, is that they often look to not include their hunt inside that Ark and Chapel and then push it into it. But we see that MarineLorD hasn't needed to do that here because it is towards the front of his base. But both players going to be looking to fight it out. And we actually see DeMusliM researching textiles. Is that... Can we check the town center and see? Is that correct?
That has to be like a Barbican style approach here. Because why on the earth would you be afraid? Like, especially against the HRE, you're not really afraid of that much aggression out there. And indeed, I think those villagers are moving out. Potentially even a Barbican is what we could see. He's also mining some stone. Could we even see a tower rush here? Like, this could be a second TC play for Song Dynasty. But if he only has like 3 or 4 villagers on stone, it might actually be like a Barbican into tower rush. Because that's a lot of villagers. That's a lot more than what you need for a boar.
First horseman got to be coming out now. And with this, DeMusliM going to be in a bit of a tough spot here, going up against cavalry against his opponent. He's picked up one wolf already.
He wasn't spotted.
Oh my lord!
The Stalfor is saving him actually.
And now MarineLorD's thinking, oh, he's probably just gone back to his base. He's realized that I've spotted him out. Everything's going great, but no, everything is not going great. Because not only do we have villagers, we've got ourselves a Barbican, and we've got ourselves we had ourselves a wolf.
We had ourselves a wolf, and we had ourselves a gold mine over here because Chinese villagers building so fast. There is no way that the horsemen can stop this. The villagers also have textiles, and DeMusliM, somewhat uncharacteristic of him, he's going super aggro over here. We talked about the fact that the Chinese have to do something over here to knock off the HRE from that standard course. This is actually a little bit more aggro than what we thought about, though.
Take a look at where those next golds are, because this is going to be the big factor. Typically, as the Holy Roman Empire, as the French, as soon as you get the Barbican down, you got to start thinking, okay, where's my next gold? And MarineLorD's is stuck next to that Barbican. Take a look at that. He's got the first gold, and then the second gold immediately adjacent to the Barbican. Third one going to be a little bit further over. And down towards the south, we can actually see it might be, I suspect, an outpost going up on that large gold vein down towards the south. Or is that a scout? What do we got down there? It is indeed an outpost that is coming up for DeMusliM on this southern gold mine. And that really leaves only a few gold mines left for MarineLorD in this matchup.
And the thing is that if you look at the resources, it was obvious that MarineLorD wanted to go to Castle Age over here, but he's lacking the gold for it, 0 gold per minute. This is going to severely delay his Castle Age, and right now, he's sitting there floating more than 1,000 resources in the resource bank. Resources he can't really do much with, and because he doesn't have access to that forest out there, it's not like he can just go for battering rams either. You see, he's chopping straggler trees. Access to wood might actually be an even bigger concern than access to gold is for him right now.
Yeah, now interesting to note, he has got through professional scouts. Now, one of the things to note on this map is professional scouts is a very, very good research to get. We do see a villager go down there for DeMusliM, not paying attention, unfortunately. Just simply because there's actually more deer that spawn on this map than any other map.
And you also have that small patch of deer which only contains 3, which means that, you know, if you went out to build a mill there, it would be way less effective than building a mill on 7 deer. So professional scouts, because the deer are a little bit more spread out, also is worth it for that reason. And you see, looks like MarineLorD is going to try to focus his eco to the north here, walling off that side. But behind this, DeMusliM, he's dropping towers everywhere, and one has to wonder if he's thinking about a ram push now, because right now MarineLorD doesn't have the forces to stop this.
Yeah, I think that this is where it sort of gets interesting. So, okay, so Barbican has been achieved. You can tick that one off your list. And now you've also neutralized a lot of the resources with outposts. You can tick that one off. And the question is, where do you go behind this? What do you do behind this? Because there's a lot of theories about where you go from here. So keep in mind, he's got the dynasty, which means he's going to be scaling quite well. His village account's going to be okay. But typically you do see 2 town centers coming out for China in this position. And normally you'd expect to see that second town center up by about 11 minutes. So that's going to be one factor. The other one that we always do, or sometimes you do see, is they go for a castle age play. But take a look at this. We've already got the Burgrave coming up for MarineLorD. And so that is going to make it so difficult for DeMusliM because he is really not in a position to defend against this. The villages up towards the north. Can we take a look at and see how many villages MarineLorD's got up there?
Yeah, there's a gold mine to the far north.
Yeah, so he's got 7 villages up here, and so unfortunately for DeMusliM, it is just this single lapse in his I guess in his game plan that has enabled MarineLorD, and you can actually see that he hasn't scouted up towards the north, so he's got no idea that there is a gold mine up there to actually be taken, so he's not even thinking about it, and yeah, as a result, he's going to be taken by surprise by the fact that his enemy reaches the castle edge. We actually see him moving over with more villagers now, but just remember, there's going to be an absolute bunch of men-at-arms that come out. Villagers actually going to be forced away from this position. Lidakor, this isn't looking good for DeMusliM right now.
Not at all. He doesn't even see the Burgrave Palace. He doesn't know that his opponent is on the way to castle edge, and this is the danger when you go for like a full tower rush. You see, DeMusliM doesn't even have a scout. He only has an Imperial officer. That's his only, in quotation marks, military at the top of the screen that you see. Not a single scout, limited amount of vision, or at least mobility with that vision. He's got that static vision around the enemy base, but he's simply unable to scout the fact that his opponent has managed to get himself a gold mine. And the Burgrave Palace allows you to get army out really fast, and the upgrades really fast as well. That building is going to let you get out like 15 man-at-arms in the next 1 or 2 minutes, and that is sufficient to deal with all these towers over here.
Yeah, we see those towers now coming down on the Burgrave. So I think what he's looking to do is just try and get enough outposts up on this Burgrave so that it's going to be able to stall out the production from it. The problem is that it prints units so fast that I don't think there's any way that he can actually do that. And this is a really difficult position here for DeMusliM because, as I mentioned, the two primary things that he wants to do behind this is get a second town center up and also look to get to castle age. He's not going to be able to do the castle age if he goes for that second town center, and he's got so many resources stacked up in the bank right now, 200 stone, 800 wood, that it feels like he has to go for that second town center. And if he does, there's going to be so many resources invested into villagers that he's just going to die to the men-at-arm timing push. So he needs to get to castle age as soon as possible and try and shut this down. But behind this, remember, MarineLorD, he's going to be picking up relics. He's going to be thinking about going imp himself.
And the dangerous thing here for DeMusliM is that matching up your production with the Burgrave Palace is extremely difficult, even for the Chinese when you supervise your production buildings. And you see, DeMusliM is going for a second TC. The concern that he has right now is that MarineLorD could be up to like 40 military in 5 minutes time. This is what the real power spike of Burgrave Palace is. Obviously, you're missing out on Ragnitz Cathedral bonus, but your production is so great, and it's also costly units with good upgrades, because the upgrades on the landmark itself also take very limited amount of time to make, that you can easily snowball a game with just overwhelming amounts of men-at-arms.
Hold on a minute. Is DeMusliM might be going 3 TCs. And if he's doing that, this could be an actual 900 IQ read of the situation. MarineLorD isn't making any more military right now. He's just made enough military to stop this push and to clear this out, but he's not actually made enough military to clean or to go and kill DeMusliM. And if he drops down as a third town center here, this is going to put him on the equivalent of 4.5 town centers, which is a huge amount. And I theorize that this is one of the actual ways that you can beat the Holy Roman Empire, is if you go for 3 town center Song Dynasty. You need a lot of time to do it, but he's definitely bought himself time at this point in time.
I agree and disagree with you at the same time, because there's a second thing that you could consider over here. Your towers are still standing. As you pointed out, MarineLorD stopped making army, so you have a really powerful forward position right now. And if you balance out your eco right now, go up to Castle Age, you can easily drop a forward keep over here with like 15 villagers. You have 2 TC Song Dynasty, so even if you lose a couple of villagers in the process, it's not going to be a big deal. And Chinese keeps are really difficult to deal with. You could essentially knock out the starting base of the opponent, and let's keep in mind, sure thing, MarineLorD's eco is to the north, but his town center is to the south. That is the only place where he can make villagers right now, and that could be a source of concern. If he wants to add those villagers to actual resources he can access, he needs to walk through that line of towers, potentially keeps. And you see, DeMusliM is up to 676 stones, so makes me feel like he actually is working towards a castle rather than a new town center, though he really needs to balance out his eco because he's floating tons of resources.
Yeah, there is a lot being floated at the moment, but you can definitely see he's working towards that castle. And I think he might be right here, because he's actually got enough resources to drop down 2 extra town centers. But obviously, it would be very, very weird to be going for that many town centers in this matchup, considering the pressure that he's shortly going to be under. We hear the first trebuchet has come out and is slowly going to be cleaning up these outposts around the base of MarineLorD. Also, professional scouts towards the north are going to be picking up those 3 deer that are notoriously out there. But, I mean, MarineLorD's going to be an Imperial very shortly. We can see that his villager, or his military, or rather his resource count, jeez, that took me a while, is slowly getting up there.
Yeah, this is getting concerning for DeMusliM. We talked about him floating a lot of resources. This is slowing down his castle age timing, and it's going to slow down a potential castle drop to a point where MarineLorD is going to clean up most of the towers. He's going to have like 2 trebuchets out on the battlefield, or 1 trebuchet, 1 bombard, so you won't even realistically be able to keep a keep alive for a very long time on the front. And as you pointed out, MarineLorD is going into Imperial. I think the window might be closing here for DeMusliM because, yeah, sure enough, he's got 18 villagers lead, but you're gonna have the Pass of Schwabia working for you if you're MarineLorD, and you're going to clean up this entire forward, and you're gonna have that Imperial Age power spike, and you do have the Burgrave Palace. So once you stabilize, you can flood out men-at-arms with Imperial Age upgrades very rapidly. This is getting very concerning here for DeMusliM.
Yeah, it's not looking good, and this is part of the reason why this matchup is considered to be quite a difficult matchup. He's also put the astronomical clock tower on the front side, which is always a bit dangerous, especially going up against trebuchets. Castle Age is going to be coming through now for him, but we also see Imperial Age just a few seconds later going to be coming in for MarineLorD now. And with that, we are going to start seeing that villager printing out. So he's got the villager printer, he's got the military printer. We've actually got triple stable coming up here for DeMusliM as well. So he's going to be going into Lancers, which are going to be pretty effective. But keep in mind, up against MarineLorD, he's got a lot of tools when it comes to the Holy Roman Empire to actually deal with Lancers, most importantly Spearmen with that extra 3 armor, but he's also got Lance Connect.
Yeah, the Lance Connect probably doesn't do that well against the Lancers, though it would be Imperial Age Lance Connect versus the Castle Age Lancers, but as you pointed out, the Spearman is going to be a perfect solution here for MarineLorD, and that is what the Burgrave Palace gives you over here. Right now, MarineLorD is unaware of those Lancers. The moment he sees them, he can add like 15 Spearmen in 1 minute, and he's gonna have a perfect response to it. His production rate is going to be crazy. Looks like he's also adding some Lancers of his own. Has not added any Imperial Age Siege yet. He could think about adding a Bombard here to try and get rid of those towers a little faster.
We can see now DeMusliM's still got that 626 stone in the bank. Hasn't decided what to do with that exactly, but going for a keep in this position can be a pretty smart move, but obviously your enemy's got the tools available for them at this point, so it's kind of it's one of those things where, yeah, it saves you time, but at the same time it doesn't really buy you much time either. But our DeMusliM going to be looking to get some raids through. We see MarineLorD with a Knight on the tail side, yet to come through with those elite upgrades. An outpost going to be coming down. He spots out that Swabia, he knows exactly where it is. And now we start to see the villager count climbing. MarineLorD going to be doing his best to try and keep these villagers alive, as he does lose 1 underneath that outpost. So he's on 58 villagers at the moment, and DeMusliM's on 81. So ideally, I mean, the cap is typically you'd consider it to be about 130, 135 villagers. That's where you'd expect players to stop. But I'd expect at this point in time that we probably see DeMusliM reach a fair amount of time before MarineLorD, just simply because I doubt MarineLord's actually making villagers out of his main TC.
Yeah, MarineLorD, he isn't making the villagers out of the main TC, which means that he doesn't feel like there is a massive urgency for him to catch up. If he really wanted to catch up, he would keep making villagers from the town center, the starting town center that is, simply because despite the fact that it's more expensive than doing so on the Pass of Schwabia, you would catch up in villager count a little sooner. But as you pointed out, MarineLorD doesn't really feel like there is an urgency for him to catch up in terms of villagers, so he just uses the Schwabia exclusively. Looks like the Trebuchet will stay alive here for a brief moment thanks to repair villagers. Not a single Spearman added though by MarineLorD. Bit of a surprising choice given the fact that he's facing Lancers and now he's also facing insufficient wood.
Yeah, never something that you want to be seeing, unfortunately, but our Frenchman does experience it once again this weekend. Looks like that Trebuchet is going to be able to go down there. DeMusliM's going to be happy with that, and that's going to delay any potential pushes that come out. And he's actually found a nice little bit of a window here, just taking through, or heading through the base here. We do see, was that crossbows? I think that might have been elite crossbows, but a forward keep coming down.
Let's go! Look at the placement!
This is aggressive. Let's just go with that. This is an aggressive keep that is coming down, and DeMusliM looking really strong right now. This is difficult for MarineLorD to deal with, and keep in mind, he just took out that Trebuchet, so it means we're going to need to see another Trebuchet coming out here.
That's exactly it. You kill the Trebuchet, and in that very moment, you send in the villagers for the keep. And one of the things that MarineLorD is struggling with big time is army numbers. There is nothing coming out of him, and as you pointed out, DeMusliM, he's just consistently making Lancers over here. And technically, MarineLorD has the answer to it in the form of Spearmen, but he simply doesn't have a single one of those on the battlefield. And now you got a forward keep over here that's going to deny the Aachen Chapel, could even destroy the starting PC. MarineLorD is doing his best to migrate to the north, but keep in mind that northern side of the map does not contain a tremendous amount of resources, and it also doesn't have a lot of space in there, so setting up a farming eco there is difficult, and indeed, MarineLorD taps out!
Wow, what an outcome to that game. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That is the Barbican Rush, an absolute clinic put on by DeMusliM right there. And I tell you what, Lidakor, it feels good to be a China player right now. I bet big on that last game, and I'm going to win big right now, baby. Oh, yeah, give me those channel points, baby. What an impressive performance there by DeMusliM. That was beautifully and perfectly executed. So he went with the 2 town centers, went up against it was straight into the castle age. I think the big thing for me is the MarineLorD played that way too greedy. He should have just realized, well, hold on a minute, my enemy's invested a huge amount of resources into doing this tower push, and now they're going to have pretty much nothing back there. And as a result, I should be able just to flood them with men-at-arms. And he would have been able to do that. He could have gone +1 ranged armor, men-at-arms, and I don't think there's any way that DeMusliM can possibly hold that. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case.